Okay. Let me just fill my glass.
We're drinking alcohol and doing a podcast. Farron listens to a lot of podcasts. I don't.
So you have no idea what you're doing?
No.
We thought, because we met, we instantly hit it off, mostly about John Frusciante from the Chili Peppers.
Yeah.
And you're probably about the first person who, when I've mentioned John Frusciante, has known who he is.
Yeah.
And we carried a conversation for at least 3 minutes on that.
He was the guitarist on the Foo Fighters, for anyone who's interested.
Yeah.
And sometimes the Chili Peppers.
Yeah. They toured together,
Did they?
I saw them at V Festival in 2001.
Was it in the Staffordshire one or the Essex one?
Staffordshire, which at the time I had no idea where Staffordshire was. Could have been Isle of Wight. I think I was 15. That's pretty bad going for a 15-year-old. And we thought it'd be a good idea to drink whiskey, because we both like whiskey and we both like Frusciante. Yeah. Start a podcast about Frusciante.
And Frusciante will be here soon.
Yeah.
Special guest.
Do you have an impression of Frusciante?
I don't really know what he sounds like, unless we just harmonise everything we say together.
He's very softly spoken, not like Michael Jackson softly spoken.
Not creepy, softly spoken.
I'm verging on it. But
is
it's more like what he talks about. If you've ever seen like Flea or himself interviewed, it's like when John and I played on that song, my heart opened up into the cosmos, and it was beautiful, and we just weren't there. And then it would cut to an interview with Chad, and he was like, I was in the toilet at the time and I was drinking.
But then he does also, as per interview text, he talks about masturbating over ghosts.
Oh my god, I can't believe I didn't know that. Because I consider myself, I've got a really sort of healthy... obsessive amount of trivia in my head. That was something you told me about that I didn't know, and it was an absolutely wonderful thing about John Frusciante. What is it? Is it called The Mansion?
Yeah, and it's a recording studio somewhere in America that Rick Rubin, I think, uses for a lot of... I think System have recorded there, maybe Slipknot. In fact, Slipknot did. Yeah.
There was stuff about Corey Taylor's been there and seen ghosts.
Loads of people have said it's haunted. Possibly System of a Down.
Probably
Joey Jordison and maybe Corey Taylor saw a ghost.
And I get feeling a load of like 90s rock bands.
Yeah.
And they all talk about like, I had this weird noise and I saw this strange thing and this reflection and this, where they're like, it really inspired this song that I wrote, and that's why we chose to go there. If I was in a big rock band, I would probably pick that as one of the places where maybe like, if I was recording, I was like, I'm going to record a dark album.
And you'd want Rick Rubin.
Yeah, you'd want Rick Rubin at any point really, because he
has a beard.
He has a beard. He has an excellent beard. The Cure's album, Disintegration, which I know you're not a Cure person, in many ways it'll always be their best album. Robert Smith went to the studio with the intention of, I'm almost 30. Most of the people who I admire who are almost 30 have recorded their masterpiece by the time they're 30, or at the age of 30, and he's like, I haven't done that yet. So he did that with the intention of that being that album, and he's like, it's also going to be the darkest thing I've ever done. So with that, if you had that in your mind, you would
that's
pick,
the place.
You would pick somewhere like that.
Yeah.
I don't know where they actually recorded Disintegration, but like apparently he locked himself in a room and didn't speak to the other bandmates for most of it. But like if you had that in your mindset, you would go to that kind of place.
Yeah.
And the Chili Peppers went to that place for
possibly Stadium Arcadium or By the Way.
I get a feeling it was it Blood Sugar? Because they did a documentary for the Blood Sugar. Was it called The Funky Monk?
I'm sure that it was By the Way was Rick Rubin.
Pretty much every album they've done since
is it
91 has been Rick Rubin.
I've got the feeling it's By the Way.
And this new album that they're recording now with Klinghoffer is the first one they've done without Rick Rubin since 91. And I think it's a good step because they're too comfortable. I think it was 91. I think it was Blood Sugar Sex Magic, but I'm not sure. It would make sense because he was probably out of his head. Because he said, after all these other people that have seen these ghosts and stuff, I saw a ghost too, and I thought the ghost was friendly, and I masturbated in front of the ghost.
Yeah. So that's our hero, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. And the idea of the podcast is to one day get him here with us and interview him and maybe not mention the whole thing with the ghost.
Yeah.
I don't know how he feels about it now. Now he's a very accomplished musician. But yeah, that'd be...
Yeah. That would... We might not mention, that bit to him, but if he said it to that many people about masturbating in front of a ghost, then maybe he'll masturbate in front of us. No, maybe he'll talk about it with us.
So, like, what age were you and, like...
Where's this going?
Yeah, when you first started listening to John Frusciante masturbate
Yeah.
with a guitar.
I don't quite know. For me, I knew some Chili Peppers songs, obviously like Under the Bridge when I was growing up and things like that, but it was when Californication came out that I proper started to notice them.
So that would have been 99. So I'm assuming, were you born in 86?
Yeah.
What month?
July.
Oh, I was born in October 86.
So you're the year below me then, in school years.
For me as well, it would have been, I definitely first heard the Californication stuff, which was, what was first? Was Scar Tissue first?
I knew it when Californication, there was a TV show called The Box, if you remember that. It was like a music, it was a music channel called The Box. And you rang up and you put your 3 code. There was like
I never did that.
I'm guessing there was only 1,000 songs on it, and there was everything from like, I guess 001.
You did that?
No, I'm saying that's what you could do. I might have done it once.
I never knew anyone that did it, because you see the messages going across the screen like, play this song.
And then basically it came up across the bottom saying like, say number 232 was Butterfly, Crazy Town.
Yeah.
and say 713 was something else, say Californication. It was when Californication came out, and in the video it was like a computer game, and all 4 characters of Chili Peppers, it was back when Kiddies had blonde hair. And they're all their own. Basically, the video is almost like someone choosing a character from a computer game, then controlling them. It's all CGI, and it was intercut with like them real live. That was my first kind of thing of the Chili Peppers meaning something to me, and then from that I got into. And now when I went on holiday, that was when I was working. I did a week work experience in a place, and which was the Tape place. Before I actually worked there on regular on Saturdays and all that. But then I saw that video, and that was always on because we had the box on in the shop. So every time I just used to watch that song, and then when we went on holiday not that long after that, that album for me was like, that's all I listened to that whole holiday.
Do you know, even watching that video now, it still stands up. I mean, it's not...
As a video or as a song?
Oh, the song will always stand up. I mean, the video, because obviously it's a CGI video. CGI from the 90s can look very dated. If you still watch Jurassic Park, it still stands up.
See, this is my thing. I think with that film, because a lot of times you go back and watch stuff and they look crap. And you can tell. Even I don't want to come straight into these podcasts and say something negative about Star Wars. But it's not negative because I love Star Wars. But when in the Rancor scene in Return of the Jedi, you can see the superimposed outline of the Rancor.
Oh yeah.
Things like that. When you're a kid, you don't even think about. I don't know how Toy Story looks now. It probably still looks good because it's Pixar.
It still looks good,
but
it looks very basic.
Yeah,
but
and Pixar, if you're listening, I will get paid to mention Pixar a lot for money. But then Jurassic Park, I always think, looking back, it still looks good. And I think, is that just me growing up with it, thinking it was amazing? Like, sometimes when you try and show younger people stuff, they're like, what the hell are you showing? But for me, it still looks...
It still carries it off. It says that it's like, if you've got the right director and the right team behind you, it's not to do with what money you've got, it's if you do it right. Because then, like, obviously, after Jurassic Park, there's a wave of CGI movies that were just trash and now look like trash. You probably had little bits of CGI in them. Like,
I reckon that King Kong film with Jack Black probably doesn't look that good now. At the time, it was like the greatest thing ever.
That was 2006, you know, I think.
I bet it looks dated already.
It already looks dated, yeah. And that makes me sad because it's Peter Jackson and he, you know, in general knows what he's doing. But with that, he clearly made a lot of bad choices.
It was the holy trinity of Peter Jackson, Jack Black and a gorilla.
And Adrian Brody.
Adrian Brody, yeah.
Adrian Brody
Oscar winner, Adrian Brody.
You're leading, you know, you meant to pick, like, you've got to have, like, a leading attractive man. And you've got Adrian Brody and Jack Black.
It makes the gorilla look even more attractive.
Yeah. That could have been a great scene, the gorilla mating with Jack Black. Going back to the Californication video, I still picture it so well. But that's not particularly that video, but that band is what made me want to pick up a guitar and start playing. And that's why, like, today when I try and write a song myself, I've never properly written a song, which I should try at some point. But when I try and just jam with someone else or with myself, which we should have done earlier, but we didn't.
Yeah.
But you would have found that
next time, episode 2.
Yeah, you would have found that, like, within 5 or 10 seconds, I'm starting to play funk. I can't help it. It's what I do, and it's because that's what I started on.
Yeah.
And the improvisation that they would do.
That's it.
I almost sound sad saying that.
No, not at all.
No, I mean sad because, like, they're not together how they were. They're not. Frusciante's not there.
But that makes it more.
Frusciante's solo.
He is, but then he always was as well. Really, he always did the solo stuff. It's just probably now he's more known as a musician in his own right, rather than. It's almost like I kind of forget in a way sometimes he's part of the Chili's because I just view him as a great guitarist and his own person.
That's just us.
Yeah.
That's just us. Everyone else views him as that guy who was in the Chili's and probably should still be.
He definitely should still be. So as a guitarist, like for me, he's like one of my favourite guitarists. If not, I still think for me he's the best guitarist around today. He might not be the most technically proficient, even though he is extremely proficient. But he is very.
That's not what it's about, though, is it?
No, that's it. And he just the things he can do with, for want of a less sexual sort of saying, for the things he could do with his little finger. Like the things he could do with one note.
Things he can do with two fists.
Yeah.
And a gaping chasm of an asshole.
Yes. Such as masturbating in front of ghosts.
Yeah. Ectoplasm everywhere.
Randy Marsh style. But basically, like for me, like the things he can do as a guitarist is ridiculously amazing. Like just the simplicity of what he does and how he makes it sound. Like Other Side, the solo, if you call it that in Other Side, is basically 2 notes or 3 notes. But what he can put into one note, just the power and just how he does it, even little harmonies, just little notes like that. Other Side is basically like the riff on guitar is no more than 1 note at a time, and the same with the bass, and together they just work wonders.
Have you seen their Live at Slane DVD?
No, I haven't really seen much of their live stuff. I've seen them live, but I haven't listened to much.
Yeah.
I've seen some of his guitar stuff, but I always get put off by, as much as I like Anthony Kiedis, just something about his vocals live that...
I will lend you. You'll have to take it with you because it's excellent. It's so good. And all the like improv stuff. What are you drinking?
Do you want that one first, or do you want to try the PT? So we were just having a brief drinking interlude.
Yeah.
Drink-to-lude.
Oh, did we say we were drinking whiskey?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
We've had a few. So we'll get back to what you're saying, then we'll go to the whiskey. So
Yeah.
you were saying about the live Chili's.
Oh my god. It's from 2003. It's Live at Slane.
So just after By the Way.
Yeah, it's the year after By the Way. So midway or during the end of their tour for By the Way. I think it's at the end of the tour. And so they're sort of, all the songs are well played. They know them really well. But obviously, you know when you're recording for a DVD, so you'll try your hardest. The songs will interconnect with others. They'll end one song and they'll do it along like a 1 to 2 minute long improvisational piece, and it will
set up.
It will turn into the next song, and you'll be like, oh my god! And that moment it just switches over. Oh my god!
Yeah.
So you have to see it because of that.
Okay.
And because Anthony Kiedis sounds pretty good too.
Okay. He's hit or miss for me live. I think his lyrics are brilliant.
He's not naturally a good singer.
No, he was a rapper, I guess.
And he has to. He works hard at it.
Yeah, but then I think his actual voice, like singing, isn't the greatest, but his actual voice is him, and it's great.
And there's no one else you'd pick.
No,
to be the front man of the Chili Peppers.
I mean, that's the thing is, like, obviously everything about music like that is about performance, and it's not about getting it spot on. So I guess it could be forgiven, but it's like live, he is great frontman. He's not like dead. I'd rather someone who was a bit flat and put on a good show than...
They're never going to be that band though. They're
never going to be Freddie Mercury.
No, they're never going to be that band that's like trying to recreate the studio record.
No, which is what you never should.
No, you shouldn't be Coldplay.
Yeah. Yeah.
I saw Coldplay live.
By listening to their CD.
Yeah.
Studio album.
Yeah. I sat out in the field and listened to
better crowd reception.
It could have been at the same V Festival, I'm not sure. At the time they were touring for their second album, I think.
Rush of Blood to the Head.
It had only just come out.
Was that?
Yeah, it was. And they had an excellent light display. That's the best thing I could say about it. And they didn't really do anything wrong other than they didn't do anything super right.
Yeah. Yeah, see, Coldplay for me, I kind of, every now and then I think they've got a really, really good song. Not necessarily the best known songs on the album.
Their albums are really good.
Like, everyone went mad for Yellow when it came out. Was that their first single?
It was definitely on the first album.
And everyone went crazy for that song.
Yeah, it's Shiver, I think, was the first single, you know.
I don't know that one, I must know it, but... Then, was it Politic, the song on Rush of Blood to the Head?
Oh, first
I think that's their best song.
Track.
Yeah.
And it's such a...
Open Up Your Eyes, is that it? Open Up Your Eyes.
And it's like got a real bang of all the instruments
and
together.
that's like amazing.
Yeah.
But then, you think, where'd you go from that? Middle of the road indie.
Well, they did like...
He's capable of good things.
I was just going to say, they did like go other places. They went to like very like U2 sounding places. I might give you a cardboard coaster because it's probably...
If I get drunk, I might smash the glass one.
Yeah, in anger, I'll say something.
Yeah, we are talking about Coldplay and U2, so I might do something I regret. The album that had Paradise on it and all that wasn't a bad album.
No, that was a really good album.
I can't remember what it's called now. Moko...
Is it
Milo Xylotto,
Milo, some
Axolotl.
Some shit. Yeah.
Yeah. Because XY was the one before, wasn't it? Not
Yeah,
Milo Xyloto. It was Milo Xyloto or something Xyloto?
It's definitely Milo. Milo Xyloto.
Yeah, I always assumed the
Or
X is a Z.
Xyloto. Yeah, something like that. Their albums are produced by Brian Eno,
Okay.
which is an excellent person to work with.
Roxy Music.
Could have been, but he definitely worked with U2 a lot.
Brian Ferry and Brian Eno, they had some connection. Was it Roxy Music?
They're both called Brian.
Apart from that one.
Don't fall back on that chair.
Sorry.
You can lean all you want, just please don't fall
I'm on a stool. And when I say a stool, I mean a furniture stool.
Because like, if you die, I mean, it'll be recorded. And it could be used as evidence, like the sound. Oh.
If I decide to say don't push me as I fall.
Yeah. Like, well, I'm falling now. Let's mess with him.
Yeah.
Let's mess with his life.
Before we go on, whiskey. So what we're doing is we're drinking whiskey. Farron's more, it seems, a bourbon man. I'm more of a single malt man. Neither of us are aficionados, but we both like our whiskey and we sort of know what we like.
Could you explain to me the bourbon and single malt thing? Because all I see is it says whiskey on it.
If you notice, the American ones have an EY on the end rather than just KY.
Oh yeah,
like the jelly.
I'm not doubting them.
Which is the Irish spelling, I believe, of whiskey. And the Americans adopted it. However, I'm not quite sure. I know bourbon is obviously the American version. I don't know too much about it. I think it might be the way it's produced, what sort of barrels it's generally stored in, what's used to make it. Okay. There is a distinct difference. I would say bourbon's smoother, a bit more fruity.
Give me an example of obvious bourbons.
Jack Daniel's, I believe, is that, I don't know, Jim Beam, Maker's Mark, possibly.
Okay.
Woodford Reserve. Whereas single malts would be Glenmorangie, Glenfiddich are the well-known ones. Lafroig is a nice peaty one.
So, to me, single malt says
a
bit more classy.
Not necessarily. I'd say purely because bourbon's more American, people probably view the Scottish ones as classier because obviously when you think of whiskey, Scotland's generally what's thought of and single malts are generally Scottish. Obviously you get like, well, you do get other ones. Japanese is getting into single malts. Okay,
so where do all like the honey ones, like the honey jack and the maple?
That's like purely modern versions. I think, to be fair, if you did that to a Scottish whiskey, people would just
shoot you in the neck.
Yeah, Farron and me, we do both like our Jack Daniel's honey and the Jim Beam maple, which is exceptionally nice.
Yeah, so if Jim Beam
either company
are listening to this,
money for advertising, we'll do it.
Yeah.
We'll sell ourselves.
Hand jobs.
Yeah, we will give you hand jobs of whiskey.
Yeah, whiskey coated hand jobs. I wonder if that burns. If you get it in the end.
It tastes nice.
Afterwards.
Yeah. Anywho.
It washes away the pain.
Yeah. Sugar coat it. Generally, from what I gather, I don't really know the differences in terms of what's used. It's really bad that I don't. I do have a whiskey handbook to hand that my partner got me for Christmas. Yeah. The pictures are amazing.
Just for the record, I'm not Ben's partner.
But thank you for the book. Let's have a look. So, American whiskey, page 118.
I feel bad because you're sitting on a stool and I have a proper chair.
Yeah.
There are holes in the bottom of that stool.
I'm sitting on your stool from your dirty protest earlier. So it says here, for Scottish and Irish settlers in the mid blah blah blah, for Kentucky, new make spirit is sweet corn base mingling with the subtle jabs of rye or soft silky wheat, the sweet vanilla honey or spice of the new wood.
I like subtle jabs.
Yeah.
Then milky wood. Did you say that? Or am I just?
I used those words. I did use those words. Yeah, separately. Oh, it said silky, not milky. So you hear what you want to hear.
I do.
Sweet vanilla honey and spice of the new wood. Yeah, there you go.
It could be a new nickname for me.
Yeah. New wood. But basically, bourbon's generally softer, a bit more obviously flavoursome, I'd say. Like probably why bourbon's so popular in various forms in Britain.
I like the
amongst
word.
The young.
I like how the word sounds.
Bourbon. Yeah.
Bourbon.
It's soft. I guess softer word, and whiskey is a bit of a harsher word.
Yeah. It seems a bit more delicate though if it's got an E in it. Whiskey.
What, the way it looks?
Yeah.
It's more friendly. Whiskey rather than like whiskey.
Yeah.
I'm smiling as I say this, which makes a big difference.
Yeah.
So.
It seems a bit rough if it's just like whiskey.
Yeah. That's it. While we're on the subject of words and these things, the difference between a dromedary and Bactrian camel. You know, there's two types of camel. There's the one with the one hump and the one with the two humps.
Yeah, okay.
The way you know it is if you turn the D from dromedary on its side, it's one. The D is like one hump, and then the B is 2 bumps. Like the letter B looks like 2 bumps.
Right, yeah.
That's how you tell the difference between a dromedary and a Bactrian camel.
Why do you know these things?
That I believe I stole from a radio show. I don't know which one. But I just, while we're on subjects of words with different things and telling the difference, and bourbon and whiskey, how you tell the difference between.
So that, in
flavour.
short, is we're drinking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're drinking whiskey.
We've got like about 10 bottles of whiskey and 1 bottle of gin, so it's always going to be whiskey, really.
Yeah.
I might move on to the maple in a second. I don't know.
Okay.
There's also like...
I thought we were talking about the couch, so might move on to the couch and the maple. We could go for the maple.
So back to Frusciante.
Yeah.
We worked together. We'd randomly gone out to make coffee at the same time.
This is Farron and me, not Farron and Frusciante.
Yeah. He's working with Duran Duran at the moment.
Yeah. I know.
So he's gone from myself to Duran Duran.
Downgrade.
But no, we went out to make coffee. When I speak to someone new and I'm like, I don't know what to say, you'll be like, hi, how you doing? Yeah, all right. And you'll talk about work, or you'll talk about the weather, or you'll talk about, I haven't shit myself today, or something like that. Does everyone have like a go-to question after that? Of like when you don't know someone?
I think I do the typical thing about the weather. Sometimes, if the weather's been bad, I will mention the weather.
For me, it's if I'm actually interested in speaking to someone, it'll be, so what music do you listen to? That's my thing. And
See,
I think that's what I asked you.
It might have been. I find that too broad sometimes.
Well, 99 times out of 100 you'll get, just whatever's in the charts. This is probably a question that, like, whenever I've tried to pick up girls, it's so that's clearly how I saw you.
Yeah. It worked.
Whenever I try and pick up girls, I'd be like, so what music do you listen to? And yeah, too many times it'd be, just whatever's in the charts. Or one time it was like, I listened to Korn and the Beatles, and I was like, that's awesome. But when I spoke to Rose, I must have asked Rose that question, and she must have responded with...
Did you not get the restraining order?
I think she would have said Placebo.
Yeah.
I'm going to guess. Maybe Placebo, 9 Inch Nails. That would have been interesting to me. I'm clearly like only interested in speaking to people who have taste in music.
And luckily for me, I saw that Farron had a Frusciante badge on his bag, so I immediately went on Wikipedia and looked up everything about Frusciante because I'd never actually heard of him before. And then we hit it off. That's not true. That's not true, by the way.
Did you say that you've been listening? No, you must have. I think you said.
Possibly mentioned Mars Volta.
You would have mentioned Mars Volta. I think you directly asked me, so like, what are you listening to particularly at the moment? And at that point, I'd got like the latest Frusciante EP in my car, so I said that, but I said it in a way of like, have you heard of who that is? And you were like, oh yeah, I love Frusciante, and then started reading off songs, and my head exploded. The fact someone knew who John Frusciante was, and the fact that he'd released music by himself as well. Is this the Frusciante podcast?
It is a podcast in which we mention Frusciante. Why is this the episode we're doing? Is Frusciante episode 1?
Well, that's... I don't think this is the Frusciante podcast, but at the same time, we can't limit ourselves to one episode.
No, we're both big fans of him. The one thing you realise is, like, in anything that certain music, certain artists, they all intertwine. Like, for example, I knew from the Cheap Peps, obviously, John Frusciante, and, like, to be fair, for a long time, I didn't know how to say his name, because when I was a kid, I thought it was like Frusciante. I didn't really know how to say his name. But
my mum calls him like Frusciante or something.
Yeah.
But these 2 whiskies, that's the one I haven't tried yet.
That's one you haven't tried yet. Give it a go.
That's the
peated. It's just
does it say Longrow, Campbelltown?
They're both Campbelltown.
Single malt, Scotch whiskey, peated.
The other one's just 10-year-old.
46%.
They're both 46. I did have a 57%, but I didn't bring it. That wasn't the Campbelltown though. That was another little bottle.
I do like 10-year-olds.
So John Frusciante. So basically, I knew him from that, and then I remember reading an interview. I think it must have been when By the Way came out. It could have been as late as Stadium Arcadium. There was an interview with him in a guitarist magazine, because my dad's in his toilet. He always has guitarist magazines in the toilet, which makes for quality reading.
That explains your toilet thing.
That I do have a long toilet break, but that's another story. So I was reading an interview. I remember him. I think it was around the time possibly Shadows Collide with People come out. I can't remember what time, because he released loads of albums in one year, but he mentioned them and I never actually heard them before, but I knew his stuff. So I remember after Stadium Arcadium, one of my mates, Angelo, introduced me to Inside of Emptiness as an album, the track Look On. And that was my first sort of experience of him as a solo artist. From that, to be fair, Angelo was also a big fan of like Mars Volta, which my other mate Patra got me into, Mars Volta with Francis the Mute, and basically Frusciante ended up guitaring for Mars Volta alongside Omar. And from that, it kind of like, I don't know, it just all kind of links, and you realise, then you kind of realise all these links between all the people you like, and there's actually something there.
Yeah, I find that as well with like you'll listen to a band, and then if you really get into them after a while, you'll be like, you read about them and find out why they are the way they are, and you'll find out who their influences are, and you'll find out that it's another band that you like that's like older. I mean, I really love The Cure as a band, and I find that so many people I listen to say, oh, I'm really into The Cure, and I kind of played this like The Cure. And Frusciante said that about Californication album.
He said what?
He said that like the way he was trying to play on that album, I think, was
The Cure?
Very inspired by The Cure.
Oh, okay.
Which I can't really see. Well, hear. Yeah, I really can't hear that at all. I'd love for someone.
Sometimes you get things like that where you don't see the link, but there is in their mind at least.
On Blink-182's album from 2003, the self-titled one, that's
when they went serious, and Tom DeLonge got rid of his normal Stratocaster with the one humbucker and got his like fancy looking guitar.
Yeah, it was one that it was a customised one.
Yeah, wooden finish with the light wood and dark wood on it.
Yeah, it was one where the lead single was Feeling This, it was a pretty good single. I'm not super into that song, but I do like it. But I think it was the second single was I Miss You, or Miss You.
Before we go on, you must be aware that Farron will know any band who you think might have had one hit or one special album. Farron will know all their albums, and he will know that they've had more than one.
And I'll know the year that they came out.
Yeah, and he will make a greatest hits of every band he's into.
On iTunes.
Yeah. Not a plug for iTunes.
And I'm not using Wikipedia, I'm just... For some reason, it's like, it's all useless information that I store in my brain.
So you do something with it, I don't.
I read it once and it stays there, whereas
I just mention it to sound cool in conversations.
It was the song Miss You or I Miss You, or it was sort of mid to slow pace and slightly ballady.
I don't really know that album.
It was a big single. It was...
It's before they went on their hiatus.
It's the one that goes, hello there.
Oh yeah.
The angel from my nightmare.
Yeah.
It's really good song because Mark Hoppus, he has a really strong verse, like opening verse. It was at a time when Tom DeLonge was taking over all their music by...
Yeah, and he got really serious, didn't he?
He was being the commercial one.
Got a fringe.
Everyone, yeah, he got off emo fringe.
Yeah.
And that was a song, it was like really serious Mark Hoppus song. It was like, hello there, angel from my nightmare. And they sing about like Nightmare Before Christmas or something in it. And the shadow within it. It's quite an emotional and like, you really feel that song. And then Tom DeLonge comes in and he's like, now where are you?
Yeah, yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
And I'm so sorry. He doesn't ruin the song, but I suppose for Mark Hoppus he probably ruined the song. But in the liner notes for that album, I still remember reading it said, this was when we were trying to write a Cure song. And you can actually tell that if you listen to a lot of Cure stuff from the late 80s and that song, you can really tell that.
See, this is the thing, like, with info, I always thought, when you say about asking people, I always think about what would I ask people I like, heroes in my, music heroes or whatever, if I was interviewing, what would I ask them? I think this is partly because I met Matt Bellamy once. I've never told you this. I met him.
What?
I met him and I fluffed it completely. I looked like a weird fan. Obsessed in it. I met
you
him.
Didn't try and blow him, did you?
Well, apart from that, he
you
didn't.
Like,
yeah.
You wanted him to sing like a choir boy and him to make you sing like a choir boy.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. And in the end, I just got arrested. It was. I saw him in London.
Did he give you butterflies?
If butterflies is the name for his penis.
Did he give you hurricanes?
I get it now. I get where you're going with this.
That was a really poorly set up joke.
That was. But he did give me both of them things. I saw him coming out of a hotel, was just getting into like a limo or some sort of nice car, and there was a chauffeur.
Was this near the shop you worked?
Yeah, round the corner.
You told me about this actually. Yeah.
Yeah, the reason I say this is basically when I saw him, I walked past, I saw him because I was such a big Muse fan at that moment. Come to think of it, I don't know if me meeting him and getting embarrassed has anything to do with me then having no taste for the subsequent albums. I don't know if that's some sort of psychological thing where I just kind of like distance myself from it, and that's why. But anyway,
you feel ashamed.
Yeah, because I'm ashamed of how I acted. No, but basically, I saw him and I was like, he's my hero. He's my absolute hero. They say don't meet your heroes, and it's probably true purely because I look like a prat. And I just basically ran up to him and said like, I'm such a big fan and all that, just things anyone would say. And I remember I was bumbling to him, and he kind of shook my hand and was looking at me like, it was really quiet, like, yeah, and then got into his limo, and as I walked off, and I said something to him like, oh, and I've seen you live and you're great. And like it was just like I could have said anything, turned around, but yeah, and I didn't know what to say, and then I kind of walked off, and for the rest of the day I just couldn't work, and I was just like sitting there thinking, why did I say what I said? Could I have said something?
Hurts.
Yeah, and then after that, a few days later, I'm sure I saw him again in Grosvenor Square, which is where the American Embassy is, the massive building, like there's a big like sort of like big square sort of little park thing. I saw him there. I'm sure
like, this is my moment. I can make it right.
I can redeem it, and I didn't. I'm sure I saw him sitting under a tree. It could have been anyone. It was a good 100, 200 yards away. But I just saw a guy who was petite with dark hair, and I thought that could be Matt Bellamy again. He kind of came from that same direction. I thought to myself, should I go over to him again and say something better? And I just left it. But I had a point. Yes, so ever since then I've thought to myself, if I was to meet someone, what would I say to them? What kind of things? And I think I know Matt Bellamy was into, because I was talking about influences of your influences. Like you were saying about The Cure and all that, and bands. And like Matt Bellamy always goes on about Tom Waits, and he used Tom Waits' spoken word track, What's He Building There, Hullabaloo, and all that. And so from that I got into Tom Waits, and I actually probably, in a way, am more into Tom Waits sometimes than Muse. He's got a really weird chronology, Tom Waits, and it goes from anywhere from like soft sort of ballads to like really weird experimental stuff.
Right.
And all that. I don't know if you ever listened to Tom Waits, but he's really worth listening to.
Only a tiny bit. He's got a wonderful voice.
He's got a great voice. Great voice. In fact, there was a song I wrote, and I really want him to sing the vocals for it. It's like a pirate ditty sort of song, and I've always had Tom Waits in my head.
It's kind of like fan fiction. The music equivalent of fan fiction.
What's fan fiction?
Fan fiction's, let's say you're a big Star Trek fan, you write an episode.
Oh, okay.
And you probably.
Well, no, to be fair, I wrote the song first, and then it was only afterwards it occurred to me, I thought this song is perfect for Tom Waits, and so if he ever listens to this, which I'm sure he will, I would love for you to come and sing this song. We're not even going to record it. I'm just going to play the song and you're going to sing it. That's all. That's where it ends. Just us two. No crowd. Anyway, just for personal pleasure. Anyway, so yeah. So I thought so I think if I was asking, what are the influences of your influences? Because for me, Tom Waits is the influence of my influence. Because Matt Bellamy, I sound it as if I'm some massive rock star, but I'm not. I just play guitar, write my own songs. But for me, Matt Bellamy was a massive influence for that. And so I think, what is his influence? Is Tom Waits? So I think of asking Matt Bellamy.
That would have been a good.
I could just cut the chase and go straight to Tom Waits and what your influences were. But you know what I mean? I think so. Do you listen to the influences of your influences? Does that change the dynamic of
the influence of The Cure, David Bowie,
which I'm sure everyone listens to.
Yeah, I'm sure everyone.
I'm sure everyone does. But I mean, I'm sure you listen to as well as everyone.
Yeah. I love David Bowie. I think Robert Smith said he saw David Bowie as Ziggy Stardust with the whole makeup thing, and I think he took that as an influence of him doing his own makeup. Just turned
all his makeup black.
Yeah. That was like going to be his journey. He was going to do that thing, and
that image of you, like a caricature of yourself almost, or like just an alter ego.
I don't know if he's ever said that, but I suppose you could look at it that way.
See, David Bowie's quite a cool name to begin with. Then you've got Ziggy Stardust and like, is it Aladdin Sane and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And then there's Robert Smith.
So
not even Bobby Smith or something, just Robert Smith, one of the most standard names.
I like to call him Bobby Smith sometimes.
Yeah.
So it goes David Bowie, Robert Smith, and then loads of bands that I listen to now, like Blink-182, will say Interpol, Editors, AFI, that sort of band.
See, these all stem from the 80s sort of sound, which to me, like, I've never really been necessarily not into it, but I've never been one for the 80s. I don't know much about that side of it.
That's what I was brought up on.
That's it. See, I was brought up on Hendrix and Zeppelin, stuff like that. Bit of Spandau Ballet, I suppose, a bit of ABBA.
Yeah.
Carpenters.
That's all stuff that my parents liked as well. See, my dad was into like ABBA, Carpenters, Elton John. My mum was more The Cure, Spandau Ballet, loads of 80s stuff.
Yeah.
But then when I got into music, she liked the music that I liked as well. So she'd I come back and my mum would be listening, back from school, my mum would be listening to Limp Bizkit, Linkin Park, Rage Against the Machine, Rancid. That was awesome.
So you influenced your mother?
Yeah.
My mum used to like some Offspring songs, like Come Out and Play. She used to like that. I think she liked the little Eastern that sort of stuff.
That's one of the things I don't like about their songs.
What, the Eastern bit?
The bits that they put in that are like... I'm
not sure if this is fair and insulting my mum.
No. Or being racist. It's one of the two. Let's find out. No, it's when bands, they'll have a catchy song that they've written and they're like, this could be a single, we just need to add something to it.
Cowbell.
Yeah, Cowbell. I think Chili Peppers have done that a few times. They want to add something to it, so they're like, let's add this instrument to it and make this thing happen. Or with Offspring, they're like, going to keep them separated. Or original prankster.
Yeah, that stupid voice.
Or Pretty Fly. Or like, give it to me, baby.
Yeah.
They add that kind of thing.
Stupid voice, yeah.
And whilst,
Which is so different from what they actually are.
Yeah, so whilst I will have those songs on the best of Offspring that I've made, just because I know they're the big breakout hits, they're not the songs I like the best, because
you're right,
they're made with too much of that purpose to be commercial.
Why I think I don't like songs like Hump the Bump, because it says Hump the Bump, you know, embarrassing sort of sayings like that.
I love the funky guitar in that though.
Yeah, it's not bad, but it's just stuff like that with that lyrical sort of, like you say, it's cheesy almost. It's like I really like the song. One of my favourite David Bowie songs is Suffragette City.
Oh yeah,
but there's that bit that goes wham bam thank you ma'am.
Yeah,
and for me that just ruins that song, because it's all good until that bit happens. I know it's probably part of that whole real rock and roll sort of sound which the song has, even though he's got his own David Bowie twist on it, which makes it great. Things like that just kind of makes it a bit lame.
What's your favourite Bowie song?
I've got a few. I really like Moon Age Daydream.
Really? Do you know something interesting about that song? He released a very high-selling greatest hits album about 2002, I think.
And it had
it's got a blue cover on it.
Yeah, it had him on the front with like various merged
it's
photos.
Cut in 4 or something. And that song wasn't on that best of.
I didn't ever think it was a big song. I'd never heard it until recently, or was it?
But since then, this Christmas he did the first best of he's done since then. He's only released 1 album since then. But
Heathen?
No, that was out.
Okay.
He's one that came out the year previous.
Oh, The Next Day?
Yeah.
Or whatever, yeah.
Which is an excellent album. It's a real return. It was his highest selling album since the early 80s, like 83 or something. Interestingly, you would think it's going to have pretty much the same track list, only minus a few, because he's going to add a couple of the new songs.
Yeah.
It was kind of like that, but he'd cut a few, but he'd added Moon Age Daydream, which is an interesting choice.
It's not really a...
I don't know. I'm assuming he's at a status enough where he can pick his own greatest hits rather than his record company. So he's like, actually, you know what? This is a really good song. I'm going to put this on my best.
In my own greatest hits. I think, for me, like, that's a great song, because it's very it's more out there than a lot of his songs. It's got a really good, that kind of... I think a lot of me, David Bowie's chord progressions are really good, because they're not the kind of standard. They change. It's a bit like Elliott Smith. He'll write songs in a way, but then the chords aren't just... He doesn't do a few chords then go back. He'll keep doing chords, then they'll change again, then change, and it kind of like, it's almost... It rolls it on.
Yeah.
In sections, but bigger sections than you expect.
Oh, right, okay.
And David Bowie does that in Moon Age Daydream, but also Rock and Roll Suicide, I think, is a fantastic song.
I don't know that one.
Acoustic song. I think it might be on Ziggy Stardust.
No.
We'll listen to that in a bit.
Okay.
There's so many songs for me for Bowie, like Ziggy Stardust itself, Spiders from Mars, whatever it's called, great song. Space Oddity, Starman.
Ashes to Ashes is my
favourite
song.
Ashes is good. Life on Mars is a good song. I think Life on Mars for me is one of his perfect songs. You know, sometimes bands have a perfect song.
Yeah.
For me, Life on Mars as a song in general, the way it starts and the way it goes into is... There's a lot of things for me with Bowie. He's one of them people, I couldn't call myself a Bowie fan in terms of... I don't know the album. There's a lot of bands, but I don't know the albums
for
as
me,
they go.
I'm like, there's going to be a lot.
But there's
of
a lot of
just
songs that I just love.
There's a lot of people like Bowie way more than I do.
Yeah.
So I don't want to call myself a Bowie fan.
No, but I'm a big fan of everything he's done.
Yeah.
Pretty much, minus a few maybe, but I don't really know. I can't think of any right now that I would say I don't like.
Yeah, I've got to agree with that. Like, and sometimes you'll hear his song at the end of a film. I can't remember. I watched a film like recently, and it was a Bowie song that I'd never heard before, and it was excellent. So.
Yeah, he's a good lad.
Have you seen him? Yeah. Well done.
Yeah.
Well done.
Pat on the back, mate.
Yeah. You've done okay.
Yeah.
Did you see The Prestige?
Thingy film, the magician film,
Christopher Nolan. Yeah, Bowie was in that.
Who's in that?
He's
Tesla, isn't he?
He's Nikola Tesla, yeah.
Forgot that. He's in a few films. Labyrinth.
Yeah. It's very rare he's in films. It's like one every 5 years or something.
Yeah.
I mean, in Prestige he was excellent, but in Labyrinth, memorable.
Yeah. Well, he's like the main guy in Labyrinth, isn't he? Him and Jennifer Connelly.
Yeah, but I think more about Jennifer Connelly. How old was she?
Yes. Yes. She was.
She was
an age.
An age.
She's in.
She's like 18, wasn't she?
Probably. Oh. She's also in Requiem for a Dream.
Oh yeah.
But I've not really seen that.
I've seen that.
Blood Diamond. Have you seen Blood Diamond with Leonardo DiCaprio?
Ago, yeah.
She's the girl in it, basically. Like the one girl in it.
She's kind of disappeared a bit now, though. I'm gonna pick another drink.
Okay. I'm gonna have something. Can I have something from your collection?
I'm assuming you know the taste of Jack Daniels.
Yes.
Wellish.
It's got a bourbon taste rather than a whiskey taste.
So, Jack Daniels is bourbon.
Yeah.
These ones that I'm drinking now, they're single malts.
Single malt Scottish whiskey. Is that right? Is that...
Yeah, yeah.
Do you want to pour some back?
Pour it back. You started filling your pint glass.
Yeah. Oh, my friend the other day told me about a drink called Hangman's Blood.
Right.
And it's cocktail you have in a pint glass. I looked it up, and it's basically you have like something like vodka, whiskey, gin, double of each.
Right.
Possibly another double, and you fill the rest up with a beer. Port.
Oh, God.
And he said he had that, and then I spoke to him the day, it was like on New Year's Day I spoke to him, and he said he had it that night, and he said like it was like in the evening next day, he's like, I still don't feel right.
Is it bad that like, what, we're both 28, 29? How old am I? I'm 29.
Are you? No. Are you?
I think so.
When we, you know, you're October 86,
How
you're
do
28.
I not know?
Have you seen Old School? When he goes, oh, you forgot your birthday again. I forget my age. But you said you were born in 1986.
86.
So you're 28. You're not even 28 yet. No, you are 28.
I'm 20. I'm definitely at least 20.
Yeah. You're 28.
I'm 28 because I remember saying next year I'll be 30. I'm 28.
Okay. yeah, you are. So yeah.
What was I going to say? I don't know.
Yeah, well, you said not really bad. We're 29. Then you're not.
You're talking about this drink, and I'm like, I'm too old for that shit. No, I'm Murtaugh in Lethal Weapon.
Yeah. What's his name? Murtaugh.
Murtaugh.
Danny Glover.
Yeah, Danny. I'm Danny Glover.
Can I be Riggs then? Yeah. Martin Riggs.
Yeah.
I'm glad you like the Lethal Weapon films.
Why?
Because
nobody likes Mel Gibson anymore.
I love Mel Gibson.
Yes.
Apart from his whole extremist thing, I think he's a very good director, and I think he's a very, very good actor.
Yeah, I'm still in hope that this is some kind of Daniel Day-Lewis style method acting thing.
That would be good. Where he plays an extreme Christian and a massive raging drunk. Calling everyone sugar tits.
Did you see that?
Do you know about that?
Yeah.
It's so good. It's so good.
He was in the sequel to Machete.
Is he?
Yeah, Machete Kills. And
I haven't seen that. I've seen the first one. It's a great film.
He was the villain.
Oh, really?
The second one's pretty much the same film again, just not quite as good. It just seemed a bit hammy. I mean, the whole film is ridiculously hammy, and that's the point, so I can't really argue. But
it's the whole... Yeah, Machete, like, it's good to see Danny Trejo in a lead role, because he's a great...
He's like 70.
Yeah, he's really old, and he's great. He's in everything worth watching. Danny Trejo's in, and to the point where if I see his name come up, I'll text people to say, "Oh my God, Trejo's in this film." I'm so happy. And he's always called Trejo generally.
Is it?
Or Danny, or he's always called a variation of his real name in all his films, except for probably Machete. Where is he called Machete?
I don't know.
There's a good bit in that where he goes about Machete doesn't text. And at the end he takes
text.
And at the end he goes, Machete improvises. Yeah. I'll just ruin the film for anyone who hasn't seen it, but that's what it's all leading up to. He's in Breaking Bad as Tortuga.
Oh my God, yeah.
Sons of Anarchy.
He's in From Dusk Till Dawn.
Dusk Till Dawn. He's in pretty much every Tarantino or Robert Rodriguez film.
Yeah.
Such as Dusk Till Dawn.
He gives like instant production value.
He's an anchorman. He's the barman. Who he goes, I don't speak Spanish. So,
oh my God.
He's in that. He's in so many. He's in a few. He's in Heat. Have you seen Heat with Robert De Niro? Yeah. He's one of the guys he rings him and goes, "Oh, there's too much heat on me." Funny enough, there's too much like interest from the cops from me. I've got to pull out of this heist.
What do you think of the
shows integrity on his part as a gangster to actually pull out of a deal rather than jeopardise it? I thought that was a nice thing for him to do for the rest of the murderers.
Nice of him to pull out.
Yeah, that's it.
Would you want?
I'd let him do what he wanted.
Yeah.
With those throwing knives and tattoos, I'd let him do what... He was in Con Air. Was he in Con Air? Did he play the rapist in Con Air with the tattoos? Was that...
I think he did, you know.
Or was that just terribly prejudiced of me to think that was him? I'm sure that was him.
Yeah, I think that was him. And there was Steve Buscemi.
Yeah, Steve Buscemi, yeah.
Malkovich.
John Malkovich.
No, you have to say Malkovich.
Malkovich. Yeah. Yeah, he's got him, Nicolas Cage, who was also in Adaptation, which is by Charlie Kaufman, the writer who also did Being John Malkovich.
Yeah, what's he up to now?
Who, Charlie Kaufman or Nicolas Cage?
Well, Nicolas Cage is making 3 movies a year, and they're all like action thrillers that no one ever watches.
Charlie Kaufman, did he also... Have you seen Adaptation?
Yeah.
Brilliant film.
Yeah.
Being John Malkovich, because I preferred Adaptation, if I'm being honest.
I'm more of a commercial person. I preferred Being John Malkovich.
Okay. Did he do Eternal Sunshine? Did he...
I think he
write that?
wrote it. Yeah.
He's a writer. He's not a director. He's a writer.
He also did a film with Jack Black to do with tapes, something to do with VHS.
Oh, Be Kind Rewind.
That's it.
I didn't like that. There was a rapper in that, wasn't there?
He also. Yes.
Mos Def.
Could be that dude. He was also in House in one random episode.
In Mos Def.
Yeah.
He was in Dexter. He won the series.
He's actually a pretty good actor.
Yeah, he is. He's really good at Dexter. He plays a religious guy who's like, he was a criminal and now he preaches. And he's like a friend of Dexter and he's a really good guy in it, but he's a really cool. So he's a good rapper, to be fair.
What in the world were we talking about?
Charlie Kaufman.
You
You asked me about the Jack Daniels and then somehow it escalated.
Yeah, what do you think of Jack Daniels?
I'm liking it. I'm liking this White Rabbit.
Do you prefer it? How about the Jack Daniels? That poor White Rabbit.
Why did I buy White from Ann Summers, really? I do like it. It's sweeter than normal Jack Daniels.
Charlie Kaufman directed Foo Fighters' Everlong video.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
And do you know that with adaptation, it was the only... I think it's either the only film or it's the first film where a fake person's been nominated for an Oscar because he got nominated for the screenplay. But you know how the story's about Charlie and Donald Kaufman, his fake twin brother?
Oh, yeah.
In the credits, it says written by, screenplay by Charlie and Donald Kaufman in the credits of adaptation. So when they nominated an Oscar,
cool.
The Oscar was nominated to Charlie and Donald Kaufman.
Because isn't it like meant to be? He was trying to adapt a book, and then he ended up writing himself into it, and that ended up being the story that he was a writer who wrote himself into a book. So isn't that how it works?
Sort of, yeah. It's like he's himself. It's set after being John Malkovich, and he's a real introvert.
Yeah.
And he gets asked to adapt this book about this orchid thief, or whatever it's called, the orchid hunter or something about, which is Chris Cooper.
Yeah.
And Meryl Streep's the author of the book in it.
Yeah.
He's trying to write the book, and he wants to make it his own thing. At the same time, his twin brother Donald, goes to a writing class, and he's trying to say you can't learn these things. You got to feel it, and you can't just do. And but his brother's like, no, it has to have this in it. It has to have that. He's very much set, because he goes to these classes where they teach you exactly what you need. There's a thing, isn't there, about it? Like if you see the real thing, it doesn't mean anything to you. Because when she sees the orchid,
I get the feeling that that's like been written many times before. Like some famous writer who gets writer's block and like tries to do this really ethereal thing of writing themselves into the book or writing themselves into the screenplay. And I'm sure that happens loads of times, and no one's ever like, "Yeah, I'm going to make that into a movie."
Yeah, I suppose
like,
so. Yeah.
Oh, come on, write a real one, please.
Yeah. Maybe. But it's like it's quite cool because there's a whole thing in it about where like when she sees the orchid, she's like, "Is that it?" And he's like, "Oh, it's mate, here's the orchid." And she's like, "Well, I didn't get anything from that. It didn't mean anything to me." It's the same with like him. Like he wants to meet her. Like you say, he gets obsessed with her, but then he kind of knows if he does, it won't be as glamorous. Like me meeting Matt Bellamy. It's not really. He didn't ask me to start my own band who would support me and he'd pay for all my finances and the expenses. It didn't happen.
I met Less Than Jake.
Did you?
All of them. Yeah. I went to see him live, and we were kind of stood at the back, watching the support band.
You and Less Than Jake.
Yeah. We stood at the back and watching the support band, and then they kind of brought out this sign and just plonked it next to where I was standing, saying, "Meet and greet Less Than Jake, please queue here." And I was like, "I am here."
Yeah.
So it was amazing.
So you were first in line.
I think so, yeah. And so I went through them all, and like obviously the guy with the
all of Less Than Jake.
I blew every single one. The guy with the Rasta hair even had
Roger.
Roger had Rasta pubes as well.
Did he show you?
No.
I believe that. I really believe that. Well, that's classic Roger coming out naked, you know.
And it gave me a good Rogering.
Yeah, hey.
I think Roger Manganelli.
Is it? I like how you say that guy with the Rasta guy, and I say Roger, and then you completely trump me by telling me his surname as well.
It is a really obscure surname.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I met them, but I don't remember saying anything cool. I think it was like the first ever celebrity or idol or anyone famous I'd ever met. And to me, Less Than Jake were famous because they'd been on Kerrang TV.
Yeah, that is. Yeah.
So like I met them and I was like, "Hello," and then just handing over a CD, or no, I had a T-shirt. I bought a T-shirt so they could all sign it, and they all signed it. I've still got it. And I took it back and I was like, "Thank you, you're really good." It was that kind of painful thing. And
we both failed.
I think since then I've met people and it's been a little bit cooler.
I've had like a couple of my mates told me when they went to see Slipknot at a signing in London.
Yeah.
But my mate's Andrew Henry. Henry was a big Slipknot fan, big metal fan in general. I think at that time Andrew wasn't. He was just getting into guitar. He wasn't really a big like fan of that sort of stuff at that point.
Mm.
Andrew had made a guitar. He bought a cheap guitar and done it up himself. Added new pickups, like modded it out, made it look really nice.
Oh, that's cool.
To set, he did it purely to
I
sell
could
it.
never do that. It's too practical.
That's
It's-
it. Like Matt does it at work. But
Dowdy.
Yeah, he makes his own
Howdy
guitars.
Dowdy.
Yeah,
He loves it when I say that.
I bet he does.
Yeah.
He seems the kind of guy who would like things like that.
Yeah.
Like mate Andrew made a guitar, basically like revamped this guitar to sell for more because he like just added stuff to it, and he got Slipknot to sign it because obviously like the value would go up, and he wasn't in Slipknot like that. But anyway, they both went to the sign. And I think Henry had like a poster of Slipknot,
Yeah.
and they were in the queue, and like Henry was like, oh my god, like some of my heroes, I love them. Andrew went through, and they like go to the guitar, like oh, they were like, all the Slipknot crowded around, like oh that's amazing, like mate, this is so cool, like they all signed, like oh, that's so great. She said I made it myself, and then oh yeah, cool, I'll see you later. And then Henry came along, and he had this poster, and he got it the wrong way around. And apparently they shouted at him like, "Give it here, maggot!" And like, looks that's what they call their fans. It's like proper horrible to him. It's like Henry's been waiting for ages to see them, and they're really horrible. And mate Andrew doesn't really care. They're just like, "Oh, that's amazing." You know? It must really kill your morale a bit.
I met Sam Raimi.
As in, living Night of the Living Dead.
Dead. Living that.
Alive Dead.
Evil Dead.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah. Also, The Quick and the Dead. Spider-Man.
Oh, he did Spider-Man and Evil Dead.
Yeah, he did all 3 Spider-Man films, all 3 Evil Dead films. A Simple Plan.
The Quick and the Dead, is that a cowboy film?
Yeah.
It's not a zombie film.
No, it's not.
Okay.
It just happens to also be dead.
Dead. Yeah.
Dark Man.
Spy Dead Man.
Yeah, Dark Man.
I might be thinking of Slender Man.
That's different. Very different.
What's Dark Man?
Stars Liam Neeson and Francis McDormand. It is a comic book type movie, but it's like of a comic book character no one's ever heard
No,
of.
Dark City.
Yeah, it's not. He didn't do Dark City.
Ah, that's
What's that one with Kate Blanchett and Keanu Reeves? And
did he do The Gift?
Yes, he did The Gift with Kate Blanchett.
And Kate Holmes gets her boobs out.
Yes, she does. Oh yeah.
And Thingy's in it, Greg Kinnear.
That's it. Yeah. So yeah, and then he did the 3 Spider-Man movies, which was 2000, 2002, 2006, and then he
I
did.
don't know dates. I never know
He did
dates.
Drag Me to Hell,
I've heard of.
which was 2009, and then his most recent one is Oz the Great and Powerful.
Vaguely.
But he was like for a long time my very favourite director, and then I met him when he was like doing a press thing for Drag Me to Hell, which starred Justin Long.
I know that name.
So I met him, and I was a little bit.
Is he the guy in Jeepers Creepers?
Yeah.
And he's in
What's that film with
Die Hard
Ben
4.0?
Stiller? Yeah, he's in that. Dodgeball.
Yes. He's the cheerleader.
Yeah. And most recently he was in Tusk, which is a Kevin Smith movie.
Oh,
where,
you said about that.
Yeah, where
wears an elephant suit or something.
Yeah. Walrus.
Walrus. Okay.
Yeah, I met Sam Raimi, and I spoke to him, and I was like, I'm currently studying film, video production, which I was at the time. I wasn't making that up. And I was like, I got into this because I'm really into editing, and I'm really into films because I love Evil Dead 2, and I love those way the movies are shot. I'm into zombie movies anyway and that kind of stuff, but I love the editing style as well in that. But I didn't do it like I've just done it, like, I love you. I was a little bit cooler than that, and but I had to speak fast because, you know, they were moving along. I had as long as he was signing the thing.
And for security to get from the front door to the signing desk.
I was just cupping his balls
Yeah.
as I was saying.
As he pressed the red button.
Yeah, and he's like, oh, it's happening again.
Yeah.
So I said all that, and he was like, oh, really? Thank you very much. That's really kind of you, Farron. He was wearing a suit at the time, and he was really very gracious. He handed the thing back to me, and like I took it away, and it was a poster for Drag Me to Hell, and he'd written on it, "Enjoy the Deadites." Because Deadites was a thing in the Evil Dead movies. It was like, they weren't zombies, they were like possessed dead people. It was different.
Okay.
And they were called Deadites. And he said to me, I think you'll really like Drag Me to Hell. And then he wrote on the thing, "Enjoy the Deadites." And it's because the Deadites made their first return in like 15 years. He'd put them into a new movie, pretty much.
And you put that on the thing?
Yeah.
He knew what it mean.
Yeah, so that was cool. And then I went along the line, and it was Justin Long was there next. I think this was 2009. So I was like, okay, what am I going to say to him? I've got to go with something recent to say that I'm following his work, so he'll be into that. So I went with, have you seen the film Zack and Miri?
No, I've heard of it. Make a porno.
Yeah, Zack and Miri make a porno, and he
I'm just saying, you and me, right now.
Was that a request or an order? he played a really flamboyant homosexual character who was in a relationship with a guy played by Brandon Routh. Brandon Routh being, he played Superman in Superman Returns,
Okay.
but he was like really like talking about cocks and balls, and it was really in your face. And he started, and I said, I thought you were really funny in that, and he started quoting lines from it, which you don't expect people to do.
No,
because
cool.
you think normally they'd be like, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
They'd probably rather you mention a serious role they've been in, but he was like, that was the most fun. What other movie am I going to be able to say?
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, so that was fun. So that was probably one of my better moments meeting people.
I haven't had any of them. I've had one bad moment with Matt Bellamy. Oh, Charlotte Haverley from Ash.
That's cool.
The female.
Did she look good?
Yes. Not. Yeah, she did look good. Yeah.
You were a little hesitant.
Yeah, I think at first because I just didn't realise it was her.
And then you realised who it was, and you're like,
Then
she
I fancied her.
good.
Yeah, I realised she was famous.
Yeah.
I thought, that adds a lot of attractiveness. She came into the shop I was working in to buy some like minis for recording, and I thought to myself, it's her. I thought that wouldn't be her, but it looks like her, but it's not. So, like the true professional, I ran for the credit card receipt that she signed, because back then you had to sign for credit card receipts, and it said her name.
And then you ran, like, as she was leaving the door, you just like, "Bird, baby, bird!"
Yeah. That's it, yeah. That's it, as I set her on fire.
And masturbated.
Yeah.
Sometimes you still think of her.
To the ashes.
Yeah. You think of her as a ghost and masturbate.
Yeah, that's it, yeah. Take her to the mansion. But to be fair, I didn't really actually speak to her. Did a true stalk thing and just stood from afar.
I remember going to see 100 Reasons. Do you remember?
I saw them spotted Ash. How weird's that?
That's really strange. I saw them at, I think it was the Charlotte in Leicester.
Yeah. The guy with the sideburns.
Is that the lead singer? The
Yeah.
guy with the sideburns. I think
they did a song called Silver.
Silver, awesome song.
Is that what's that? Oh, the
They
same
had,
questions.
Like,
Or
they
is
had
that Biffy?
two more albums, maybe.
And all the same answers.
They had 3 more albums,
Is that them or Biffy? Is that questions and answers by Biffy?
That's questions and answers by Biffy.
For some reason I thought that was them, but yeah, Silver. Yeah.
Same era.
Yeah.
They came out.
I would have known if I'd seen Biffy.
Yeah. They've done 3 more albums since that. I've got them all and made a best of 100 Reasons if you're interested. It's really good.
How many tracks are on there?
It's about 20.
You should call it 20 Reasons.
If they do
or
a
100
best
Reasons
of.
divided by 5. Just an idea.
I went to see them at Charlotte, and I remember being at the bar, and there was a guy standing next to me, and then he walked away, and I was like, "Oh my god, that was the guitarist." Does that count as a moment of meeting a celebrity?
Oh, I've got one like that.
Yeah.
I possibly walked in the street past Stephen Gately from Boyzone, the late
in the
Stephen
street.
Gately,
Yeah.
and he looked back at me. Whether he was checking me out or not, I was a good-looking 19-year-old. But it was in it might be Marylebone High Street. Anyway, I used to work for a company, another tape company, the rivals of the other ones.
Right.
Because I was a whore. And I went where the money was. I went where the best minimum wage was. I used to go around to deliver their tapes. So when they had like tapes that I had to give to like production places, when they needed blank tapes, they all had accounts with each other. It was like MGM was around, the TNT, all different things. But we'd go and deliver them to them, and I would. And one of the places, I can't remember what it was, but I went up there. And on my walk back, I walked past and thought, that looks like Stephen Gately. I kind of made eye contact with him. And I walked down the road. And I turned back and I was watching him and he walked up to some building. I don't know, it probably wasn't a house, it was probably an office or something. And he looked back at me. I thought, did we just have a moment? I don't know, it might not even be Stephen Gately. It might be some guy going, why the fuck is this kid looking at me?
Did you start following him?
I did, yeah. And he started jogging.
Did he go to Hampstead Heath?
he did, because I was already there and I saw him walk in. Yeah, Hampstead Heath is a cool place. That's near where my nan lives.
Is it?
Fun enough, yeah. So I stay there when I'm on my nighttime excursions.
So what's, you say minimum wage at London, is minimum wage at London the same as minimum wage everywhere else?
Pretty much cash in hand job, but just...
Did they actually give you cash in your hand then? Did they...
It got paid into a bank account, but it was very
That's
much...
not cash in hand then.
money in bank, that kind of arrangement.
Did you get paid in hookers?
I did, yeah,
Because that's cash in hand.
But sadly it was hookers is in the rugby position, one of big massive men.
Put a rugby ball inside you.
that's pretty much it. And got stitched back up like a rugby ball afterwards.
Oh, and then you pooped through the seams.
That's it. Don't quite know what to say.